Latest prediction by Nigeria Meteorological Agency (NIMET) indicates that 5 states, including FCT, are to be affected by heavy rainfall. Most states to expect moderate to translating.
Hello and thank you for joining us in our Abuja studios on Panorama. Seems we've lost the signals from Ibadan. Let's begin with the story on migration. 5 million migrants have so far benefited from the campaign and advocacy on dangers associated with irregular migration by the African Youth Growth Foundation. Ngozi Technical reports that this is one of the many milestones reached since its 16 years of operations as a non-governmental organization in Nigeria.
Since the movement of people from one location or country to another cannot be stopped, it therefore becomes critical to educate the teeming Nigerian migrants on the need to take legitimate routes. Other areas of breakthrough include providing nutritional services to over 2 million women and children under the World Bank Accelerating Nutrition Results in Nigeria and RAIN projects, registration of 50,000 Nigerians and IDPs, among others.
Specifically, we have a report now on extension of labor inspection and labor law enforcement to sectors and workplaces where migrant workers may be present in the country. That report has now allowed us to know the total number of foreigners living in Nigeria, working in Nigeria, where they work, who they work for, why they are in the country.
Report from the some secondary healthcare facilities and some of the antenatal clinics have shown us that the cases of anemia in pregnancy has reduced.
The African Youth Growth Foundation is unique in its focus on youth issues and migration issues.
Stakeholders commended the complementary role of non-governmental organizations to government policies and programs, thus promoting good governance.
Meanwhile, the federal government has issued a fresh traveling advisory for those going to the United Arab Emirates to be guided by the new visa regime in that country. In a statement, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs says the advice is sequel to a video on social media showing stranded Nigerians denied entry at Dubai Airport last Tuesday. The statement adds that the Nigerian mission in Dubai has clarified that the stranded Nigerians were issued with family visas only to arrive Dubai alone without any family member. Consequently, they were denied entry and advised to return to their country to apply for the appropriate visa. The statement further clarifies that the government of the UAE has stopped issuing tourist visas to persons under the age of 40, except for those applying for family visas. On the political scene, the Action Democratic Party (ADP) says its attention has been drawn to views and utterances of certain persons peddling rumors that there is a crisis in the Kano State chapter of the party. It says the leadership of the ADP at the National and Kano State Secretariats are enjoying cohesion, unity and cordiality among members of the party, and that there has not been any form of ruffled disruption or threat. If anything is to be said of its fortunes in the present circumstances, is that the ADP in Kano has been witnessing phenomenal upsurge in its popularity and widespread acceptance among the electorate in all nooks and crannies of the politically vibrant state. As per the party's leadership is concerned, the said primary election and the entire process which led to the emergence of the ADP's flag bearer in Kano and elsewhere in the country complied strictly and scrupulously with relevant provisions of the 2022 Electoral Act, the INEC rules and regulations, as well as within the framework of the party's constitutions, rules and regulations. In line with the creed and philosophy of the party, all the exercises were also transparently conducted. It further says in the case of Kano State governorship primary of the party, Alhaji Nasiru Koguna emerged winner of the primary election and was accordingly recognized by the headquarters of the party. The People's Democratic Party says it remains united and moving on towards returning to its old winning ways amidst the calls for the removal of the party's national chairman, Uche Ayu, by the Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike. Correspondent Timothy Yusuf reports that the PDP National Publicity Secretary, Debo Olugunagba, stated this at a media briefing in Abuja.
It's been a pocket of differences within the PDP family since the emergence of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar as the party's presidential candidate for the 2023 election. Areas of disagreement include the presidential candidate, party's national chairman and the POT chairman, all from the northern region of the country. Members from the southern region consider it an imbalance and do not represent the principle of equity and fairness.
This party relies on its constitution and work on it. And I can say to you, because this party has an organ and a process that allows you to do a process of reconciliation or reworking itself, it does that.
On the face of between Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State, PDP National Chairman Uche Ayu, and other party leaders, Olugunagba insisted that there is no crisis in the party.
We know we're working together. Every member, all our governors, all the leaders of the party are agreed on one mission. And I think that should be the big picture. And that mission is connected to Nigerian existence.
All organs of the party are working very well, and the party will carry everyone along in all of its activities, with party's National Campaign Council coming on soon, the PDP spokesman assured. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
Away from politics, an edifice remodeled for the effective formulation, organization and coordination of the administrative activities of the Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission (HYPODEC) has been inaugurated in Minna, the Niger State capital, by Governor Sani Bello. Usaina Musa reports.
The state-of-the-art edifice was named after late Senator Dahiru Awesokuta, who introduced the bill proposing the establishment of the Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission to the National Assembly in 2005. The commission was established to manage ecological and environmental challenges in the hydropower producing areas of the country, comprising of Benue, Kebbi, Kogi, Kwara, Niger and Plateau states. The commission, since it became operational about a year ago, has continued to impact positively on lives of the people of the host communities through various intervention programs.
We appeal to the commission to develop a robust monitoring mechanism to track its activities across the state of Hypertech for proper and judicious use of public resources.
To demonstrate our gratitude and our intention to ensure maximum utilization of the facility, the Commission did not hesitate to immediately begin renovation alongside extension of the office complex shortly after allocation and taking over of the facility when we receive approval to do so from the Governing Council.
Climax of the event was the handing over of operational vehicles at the instance of the federal government to the representatives of the Commission's directorates. In Minna, Usaina Musa, NTA News.
This is Panorama on the network service of the NTA. It's time for a break. We will be rejoining Ibadan Network Center after.
The vaccine offers hope for a safe country free of coronavirus. I urge all state governments, traditional and religious leaders to take the lead in the mobilization effort within their environment and spheres of influence. I similarly urge all eligible Nigerians to present themselves and be vaccinated in accordance with the order of priority already mapped out at the various authorized designated centers only.
Watching Panorama on the network service of the NTA. Flooding is one of the factors responsible for environmental degradation and, if not checked, can result in colossal loss. Averting flood is therefore identified as the collective effort of government and residents. Ifeoluwa Omosule in this special report x-rays the negative impact of human action, especially when it comes to flooding.
Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, has been known for its perennial flooding as far back as the 80s, with its devastating effect on lives and properties. It is therefore not a surprise that NIMET's 2022 prediction places Oyo State on red alert in its forecast of states that are likely to experience moderate to heavy rainfall, likely to result in flooding.
It is very true that Ibadan is very prone to flooding because of its geological nature, valleys and hills, and the presence of hundreds, if not thousands, of channels and streams.
What are the efforts of stakeholders at averting this pending disaster?
We make sure we clean the drainage regularly, whether ours or that of government. We clean it regularly. If you get there, you see everything very, very clean.
Then also on our part, the state just invested so much heavily in the flood early warning systems, which we are now installing in vulnerable areas in Ibadan right now. We are setting up automatic weather stations in 5 locations. We are installing automatic weather sensors in about 11 locations along streams in Ibadan.
Observe those waters to make sure that they are flowing freely. If not, whatever is impeding them, let them remove it, especially dirt and waste should be removed for our gutters and waterways.
Experts, however, appealed to residents of Oyo State to complement government's efforts at keeping the state safe for habitation. In Ibadan, Ifeoluwa Omosule, NTA News.
The guest on the program to discuss mitigating flood with the recourse to NIMET's prediction is Professor Taye Babaleye, a professor of agricultural communication from Leeds City University, Ibadan, Oyo State. You are welcome to Panorama Studios.
Thank you very much.
What can we say is responsible for the current trend in rain pattern?
NIMET has actually predicted, it's a phenomenon that is not limited to Nigeria. If we look at what's happening in other parts of the world, Pakistan, for instance, has been experiencing flood, water covering almost 3/4 of the country in the past, few weeks. And hundreds of people are dead, thousands of people are rendered homeless and the rest of them. So it's a common phenomenon when we are talking about climate change. Climate change is actually brought about by human activities, by the things, that we are not supposed to do, like clogging the waterways, like, the burning of the fossil fuel, causing the depletion of the ozone layer and other things. Some years ago, you remember in Port Harcourt, there were some level of suits,
Yes.
on the rooftops.
Yeah.
In fact, people, staged a demonstration to complain to the federal government to do something about it. Why? Because of the gas flaring in that particular part of the country. And there is also what we call acid rain. If you take fruits in Port Harcourt, the taste, maybe papaya, maybe mango and the rest of them, you take the one that is produced in that area that experience, acid rain, the taste will be different from what, the fruit is in Ibadan. And so there's nothing anybody can say about the prediction of NIMET. NIMET is even, giving a warning, to give a warning that this thing is going to happen. It's now left for us to take action to prevent, the excesses of the flooding.
Talking about NIMET now, if the predictions by NIMET are anything to go by, what are the steps to avert possible disaster like flooding in Nigeria and this part of the
There
nation?
are many things that the federal government can do. You see, when NIMET, gives early warning about the flooding, it gives also states or places where this flooding will occur, particularly where we have the floodplains like River Benue, River Niger joining together in Kogi State, like other rivers like Rima River in Sokoto, like the water levels of the rivers in Jigawa, Nasarawa, and the rest of them. What the government should do is to take action immediately before the rains evacuate the people who are living at the range, the flood plains. Like for instance, maybe 1 kilometer away from anybody who has a house, 1 kilometer away from the river plains should be evacuated. And there is not too much for the government to provide them solid accommodation at the upland where they'll be able to live and they have peace. Apart from that, the federal government can also introduce dams in all those places. Let's look at Egypt. I mean, when we were young, we were told that without Nile there will be no Egypt, and it is true. As the water is flooding here, it's also flooding in Egypt, but then they have dams.
Let me round up with this question. In this part of the nation, farmers depend greatly on rainfall. What does this current weather prediction translate to our farmers?
To our farmers, the government should assist the farmers to take advantage of the research results in agricultural research institutes in the country. We have more than 30 agricultural research institutes, and they have developed what we call early maturing varieties of crops. For instance, maize, we take an average of 3 months to mature. That's about 90 days. But you go to the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture in Ibadan here, IIT, they will give you maize that will mature in 60 days. Early maturing varieties.
Now, your word of advice in one in one sentence, advice to farmers and the government.
Farmers and the government should come together, take advantage of the research findings in agricultural research institutes in the country to actually meet.
Universities in Nigeria are still reeling from the indefinite strike declared by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, following the last failed negotiation. Meanwhile, parents and students are calling on government to come to a roundtable to ensure students return to campuses. Diababa Sidom Nweke reports.
Some students and parents are appealing to ASU to shift grounds for the sake of the students.
We're encouraging the ASU to come to a meeting point.
If a child who's supposed to finish school by maybe 5 years interval, then it's now extended up to 7 years. It's not necessary, it's not good.
They should look at the students that are crying, and then they should try to have empathy for them. They should try to feel for them, and then imagine if they were in their shoes, how they will feel.
With this strike, it's just actually drawing my plans backwards. So I just had to go back to my business and learn more skills for myself.
While students in ASU-controlled universities sit at home, those in state-owned tertiary institutions in Rivers State are having full academic activities. Some of the universities are already conducting second semester exams for the students.
Trying to, accomplish what you're supposed to do within a year or two. You now end up accomplishing 2-3 years, which is bad. So the curriculum actually will also suffer because it needs to be implemented. But for now, everything is stalled.
State governments fund their own universities differently from what the federal government obtains in the federal universities, and we must say that the salary structure and some other accruables are not basically the same way.
It is to be hoped that the Lingering industrial action will be resolved soon. In Port Harcourt, Dibabari Sid Mawenke, NTA News.
Prepares for 2023 general elections. The Nigerian Police Force has convened an election security management workshop to educate police personnel and stakeholders in the electoral process. Kayode Oladoshi reports that the training was held in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital.
It is about 6 months to the 2023 general elections, and the security structure before, during and after the elections is of highest concern to the Nigerian police. Gathered from across the southwest at a capacity training for management of security in the general elections. The training is centered on how the security personnel will conduct best practices in election security, challenges, and approach for peaceful atmosphere during the elections.
Before you go for an election, you must be knowledgeable enough to know how do you relate with the press, what is your mental health, what is the Electoral Act, what are the offenses, so the whole gamut of what the elections are supposed to throw up is what we have been trying to give to the men.
Themed the 2023 general elections, enhancing national security capacity for a secure and credible electoral process in Nigeria. Speakers noted that now is the time to redefine the security architecture of the country.
We know the importance of this workshop to the coming election. We need to see us about this workshop, and any lessons learned here will be very useful for us in our endeavor and in the future election that is coming.
It's going to improve our capacity, and we're going to pass the message down the line so that we'll ensure the election in Oyo State is peaceful.
Training is the last in the series organized for the Nigerian police across the 6 geopolitical zones in the country. In Ibadan, Kayode Oladoshi, NTA News.
To stem the tide of corruption in Nigeria, everyone must imbibe behavioral change to enhance sustainable development in the country. This was the central discourse of a workshop on actualizing behavioral change, ABC, organized by the Nigerian Institute of Social and Economic Research, NISA, in Ibadan. Correspondent Shola Wahid has details.
The Actualizing Behavior Change Program, codenamed ABC series, is judged toward providing grant for research purposes towards combating the menace of corruption that is fast crippling the nation. To have a corrupt-free society, participants at the event said if individuals are positively changed with the right reorientation, the society will automatically change for the better.
The fight against corruption is first and foremost to the benefit of the people.
Cannot implement a behavioral change intervention program without understanding what behavior is.
Attitude change is to be the focus to change behavior.
Many of us celebrate our uncles who are stealing money and we defend them. Corruption will not stop until we own the fight against corruption to say we must fight corruption.
Director General of NISA explains that the institution's research work will target stakeholders in the public and private sectors and other development partners.
Our research thus far provides us with some understanding of why traditional approaches to stemming corrupt practices.
Project work streams will run concurrently over a period of 3 years when documentation, communication, and dissemination will be concluded. In Ibadan, Shola Wahid, NTA News.
Peter Oyibo will now bring us sports update.
Team Nigeria is set to begin hostility later today at the 2022 Confederation of African Volleyball Under-19 Female Championship at the Indoor Hall, Package B section of the Moshood Abiola National Stadium, Abuja, following a technical meeting as well as draws Thursday in Abuja.
The preparation was superb. We spent 6 weeks in camp, and we know the present form of the girls. Definitely, they are not going to disappoint.
But we thank God for the Cameroon and Egypt that came. So we are going to fight it out for the 2 slots to World Championship.
Nigeria, Cameroon, and Egypt will fight for 2 available slots in the World Championship from 2nd to 5th September. In football, fans have called on Super Eagles B team to strive and defeat Black Galaxies of Ghana in Saturday's 2023 CHAN final round, second leg qualifier in Abuja. Nigeria needs at least 3 unreplied goals against Ghana to secure a place in the African Championship in Nigeria.
We feel the score in the first 20-25 minutes, the pressure will piling on the team, and the Ghanaians want to come here and sit back and wait for a counter, and to just get one goal and seal their ticket. So it's a tough one, but nothing is impossible.
In another development, the Nigeria Women Football League 2022-2023 Premiership season will now kick off October 12th instead of September 14th. The management of the league attributes the late commencement of the season as a result of other international engagement of players, and also to give the league body more time to perfect clubs registration ahead of the season. With sports updates, I am Peter Oibo, NTA News.
Panorama from Ibadan Zonal Center of the Network Service of the NTA. Remember to connect with the NTA. Be a star, stand against rape and rapists. I'm Larry Du. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.